concrete walls. There's a place for us where we could go, where we could be alone. Between city lights, we don't have to hide. I wanna go, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? I can't understand why we can't hold hands, but they don't know what we have is real love. Aren't you sick and tired of having to hide? I know a place, do you wanna follow? There's something in the air, I can't explain it, but it's there. Ain't nobody gonna find us in our secret love affair. I don't wanna have to hide no more, it shouldn't be unfair. I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow? Do you wanna follow? Baby, do you wanna follow? Come with me, do you wanna follow? Baby, can't you see that? I wanna go, and I wanna know, do you wanna follow?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Livestream. Happy Sunday afternoon to you. There we go. Hang on one second. Okay. Okay. Good. Welcome to the live stream. You can't have a live stream with a mouse mat off center, right? You can't have it. Never good. When I first moved into my first apartment that I lived in by myself after college or whatever, and I was setting up my furniture, I did in fact lay some of it out with a ruler to be sure that I had these little alcoves, and I here, hang on a second. I actually literally centered these end tables in the alcoves with a ruler, with a tape measure, which for the person who was helping me move probably was a little, he's like carrying shit up the stairs and I'm like getting out a ruler to make sure it's centered, and I imagine he might have been like, hey, how about we just get all this shit off the truck? Apologies for the frequent swearing so early in the stream. Yeah, here we go. I have an old picture once a long time ago. Check this out. You're gonna love this. That's it right there. That's my old living room from my townhome. The first place I ever lived in after I graduated college. And there, in fact, right here, are those exact end tables, as whatever you want to call them, I felt very important to me that they be centered in those alcoves. So so I centered them right the heck up with a tape measure. Funny story behind this. This was from back before phones could just take panoramas, right? So I manually set up a tripod, and I manually took photos, and I manually in Photoshop spliced this together into a panorama. There was no plug-in or anything. So, yep, that was some adventures. Here, look at this. Oh, the memories. So I needed to hang my center speaker. I wanted the TV up against that wall. Fine. I needed to hang my center speaker, but there was nowhere to hang it from. You couldn't exactly. I didn't want it up at the ceiling level because that would sound like shit. So I put some hooks in the ceiling and I hung it using these wires. This clear wire. I was very proud of myself. Mm-hmm. Yep. And here's the wireless adapters for my Xbox controllers. Old Xbox One, old PS1. Oh, books full of CDs and DVDs. Remember those times? There's my little media computer. I still have those speakers, man. Oh, good time. Blank DVD rewritables. Oh, the memories are coming back to me. I had a Netflix subscription, and I would rent stuff from Netflix and then burn it to DVD rewritables, so I could then send the discs back and watch them on my own time. Had a stack of rewritables there. Good times. Oh, anyway. Oh, look at this. Remember these folks? Remember when we would have telephones in our living rooms? Yeah. Good times. Anyway. I miss that place sometimes. My bachelor pad. That was my bachelor pad. That was before I had a family. Now I have kids. Go back to that picture and ask yourself how much of that would survive having children. Not a lot of it. Is that a PS2 or a PS? Rauk FPV is correcting me that that's a PS2, not a PS1. Okay, fair enough. Welcome to the... Yeah, that was a landline. I had a landline back then. I don't have a landline now. Welcome to Livestream, everybody. Despite what it may sound... that it may seem like this is just FPV cribs from back in the day, actually what we're here to do is take questions and answer questions about FPV. And in case you're new here, here's the deal. I got you right here. I got you right here. Right here. Right there. On my monitor. I'll be taking your questions here in the YouTube chat. And over here on the right side, I will be also paying special attention to these beautiful people. And they're so special and beautiful because they're my patrons. They're over in my Discord server. Some would say one of the best resources in FPV for having a great community that helps you solve problems. Some would say that. I wouldn't say that. Some of those people would say that over there. And you can get into that FPV. How do you get into that Discord server? Who knows? Who knows the answer? We'll let you guys do the plug. If you want to make sure I get to your question, hit the $ down here in the bottom and leave a super chat. And it will get... We have not got any super chats yet. No super chats yet. You can be the first. So, it's up to you. But in the meantime, I always like to give the Discord server a chance to send hilarious GIFs and messages. GIFs! I said GIF! I said GIF, not GIF. I'd stand by it. I say solder instead of solder. I say GIF instead of GIF. And I say DJI. DJI. I don't know why I say it that way. I'm not going to change for you. My mom says I'm perfect just the way I am. GIF. That's right. GIF. All right, let's get to the actual live stream. Say Bernard. Bernard. Is it Bernard or Barnard? I don't know how people from... Listen. I don't know how people from the UK specifically can make fun of American pronunciation. Because, yes, you pronounce all your vowels. You pronounce all the vowels, and we just, like, throw half the vowels out because we ain't got time for that shit. But you guys have, like, Worcester. And, you guys have all these crazy place names. You got no room to talk about pronunciation. I mean, like, I imagine there's languages out there that have very strict pronunciation rules. I don't know a lot about languages, so I'm just not going to guess as to which ones they are. German, probably. Seems like the Germans would be strict about pronunciation. I don't know. But especially, like, English people going, well, you should say solder. Really? Well, you should say Worcestershire, but you don't. So let's just live and let live. Worcestershire. That's how you say it. That's how you say it. Worcestershire. Worcestershire. That's how you say it. Worcestershire. Worcestershire. Oh, no, it's Worcester. Worcestershire. Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense. Solder. I'm just going to keep saying it. Solder. 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 Okay. Alrighty. Let's move on. Good intro. Good intro. That's my opening monologue. That's my opening monologue right there. Ho operator. Thank you for the super chats, Ho operator. Those super chats are not appropriate for the live stream. Those are not appropriate for the live stream, dude. I mean, you can have your opinions, but we keep politics and we keep that bullshit out of the stream, okay? Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. I do not appreciate those messages though. So let's keep it focused on FPV, please. If Epstein flew drones, we would talk about what kind of drones he flew. No, we wouldn't. Let's stop. Just stop. No, I take it back. I take it all back. Mark FPV has a question for us. Are the DJI antennas like normal 5.8 gigahertz antennas? I'm like 95% sure they are, but I'm sure there's something about how they work different to the analog versions. No, Mark FPV, DJI antennas are normal 5.8 gigahertz antennas, okay? First of all, there's nothing special about them. They're just a 5.8 gigahertz antenna. What is different about them is that they are left-hand polarized, and most antennas that most FPV pilots use are right-hand polarized, but you absolutely can just buy left-hand polarized antennas and use them. Okay. Now, the V2 goggles come with dual frequency, 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz antennas. And you can tune an antenna to multiple bands. It's especially easy to do when the bands are close to a multiple of each other. And 5.8 is not quite double 2.4, but it's fairly close. So what you do is you make an antenna that basically is crappy at receiving both bands instead of making an antenna that's very good at receiving one band. So if you've got the V2 goggles, here's a tip for you. If you've got the V2 goggles from DJI and you don't fly the DJI FPV drone, you will get better performance by replacing those antennas with a 5.8 gigahertz antenna, only 5.8 gigahertz, as opposed to a dual band antenna. Make sense? If you do fly the DJI FPV drone, when you are flying the drone, you will get a little better range if you have the dual band antennas, because the DJI FPV drone can use 2.4 gigahertz, and that lower frequency will get just a little better range and penetration than 5 gigahertz. But there's a whole lot of FPV pilots out there who only fly DJI, Air Unit Vista. They don't fly the DJI drone because, right? And so like, what is the one? The Lumineer has this DJI antenna. I think it's called the Duality. Yeah, so Lumineer has this antenna. It's the Duality. This antenna you should not buy if you use only the DJI FPV system, not the DJI FPV drone. And the reason is that a dual band antenna will always be worse than a single band antenna, all else being equal. The jack of all trades, master of none, right? There's no reason that a typical FPV pilot should be buying this antenna. There's nothing against the antenna. It's a fine antenna, but it's a dual band antenna. And the DJI FPV system doesn't use 2.4 gigahertz. Only the FPV drone does. So Ho operator, take it easy. Take it easy. It's not the place. It's not the place. Okay? It's not the place, man. It's my house. I'm telling you, what you're doing isn't welcome. Please just back off. You're a good dude. It's just not the place. It's not the place. There are places for those messages. Go to those places and have those conversations. We're talking about FPV here. Fair enough? That's it. It's not about censorship. It's not about whether I'm okay with your message. It's that politics and religion, and we're here to talk about FPV. We're here to come together under the umbrella of FPV. We're going to leave all that shit at the door. And if you can't leave that shit on the door and insist on bringing it in and spreading it all around my living room, I'm going to ask you to leave. But right now, I'm just going to ask you to please stop and focus on FPV. Fair enough? You're a good dude, Ho operator. I don't know why you're in a mood this morning. You in a mood this morning? Everything all right? All right. So, that's it. Don't use dual band antennas, including the stock antennas that come with the DJI FPV V2 goggles. Don't use those if you only fly Air Unit Vista, etc. Get a good set. Here, since we're on Get FPV's site, we'll give them the plug. Get a good set of single band antennas, like the Axie HD. Oh, they're out of stock. Okay, well, do they sell iFlight Crystal, or do they refuse to do it because it competes with their? Yeah, I thought so. Get FPV won't carry the iFlight Crystal because it competes with the Axie HD, I think. Okay, let's go to Race Day Glads. Okay, iFlight Crystal, yeah. So get the iFlight Crystal, get the Axie HD, get a left-hand polarized 5.8 gigahertz antenna, single band. Okay. Adam FPV, I will never pass up an opportunity like this. Adam FPV says, so tell me how stupid I am. Okay. I got an iFlight Mach R5. Flight controller blew out. I purchased a new one. So first of all, if you got an iFlight Mach R5 and the flight controller blew out, I would hope that iFlight would take care of that for you, unless you did something dumb and blew it up. But anyway, I purchased a new one, $140 flight controller with shipping. Guess what? I got it working. Why was it a waste of $140? Oh, you fixed the flight controller in your Mach R5 Atom FPV, and now you've got a whole new flight controller. Yeah, that's not wasted. You just have a flight controller. Now you got a spare. Gary Higgins. It will not hurt the DJI FPV goggles to use 5.8 only antennas. No, not at all, Gary. If you use 5.8 antennas with the DJI FPV drone, you will get slightly less range than if you had dual band antennas. But if you use dual band antennas with the DJI with the Vista and the Air unit, then you'll get slightly less range than if you had a single band antenna. That's the takeaway. And since most people here probably don't use the DJI FPV drone, most people here should be using single band 5.8 antennas, not dual band antennas. Prop Duster asks, a buddy gave me a Kakute F7 HDV iFly analog. Is there any way to get Betaflight OSD, or is that just not possible? No, Prop Duster, not possible. The Kakute F7 HDV does not have the analog circuitry necessary to do an analog OSD. In theory, perhaps you could buy something like an external OSD board, but no, generally no. Janko Marcus wants to know, what's your opinion on pros saying that extreme long range is better on analog? They're absolutely right, Janko. The DJI FPV system maxes out at around 13 kilometers. That is not about signal strength. People say, well, what if I put a more powerful antenna on it? No. It's not about signal strength. There is a timing restriction in the system because the DJI FPV system is bidirectional. You send data and you retransmit data, and they're talking to each other. It's not just a broadcast system. With a broadcast system, if you want more range, you simply increase the output power and you get more range. But with a bidirectional system, well, first of all, you would need to increase the output power on both ends, which is not easy to do on the quad. But more fundamentally, the DJI system has some kind of a timing limit in it, like an acknowledgement timeout. And basically, when you get right to around 13 kilometers, that timer fails and the link fails. So no matter how strong your link is, no matter what antennas you're using, DJI FPV will not go past about 13 kilometers. End of story. Which means that and many people would say that 13 kilometers is long range, but true long range enthusiasts, no, they say no, it's not long range. Long range is 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever kilometers, and only analog can do that today. Now, SharkBite is also a broadcast, SharkBite or HD0, however you want to call it, is also a broadcast system. And so in theory, SharkBite HD0 could go as far as it wants, as long as you have sufficient output power and sufficient antenna gain. You know, I just said increasing output power. I just realized a second ago I said increasing output power on the drone is difficult. No, that's backwards. You always are increasing output power on the drone, but you would also need to increase output power on the goggles with the DJI system. I had that backwards. I'm not sure what I was thinking. Well, anyway. Acknowledge that little slip of the tongue. You would have to increase both sides, is my point, with a bidirectional system. SharkBite, at some point, like right now, SharkBite only has 200 milliwatt output power for the VTXs that most people are using. There is a 1 watt VTX out there, and at that point, perhaps with the right antennas, SharkBite could do long range. But it's all just going to depend on the output power and the antenna gain. But with DJI, 13 kilometers, boom, that's the limit. Cannot go further. End of story. DJI could change the firmware to make that work, but they haven't, and I doubt they will. So, analog for true long range. That is the answer. We got a question from Justin Rice with a $5 super chat. Conformal coating, silicon electric spray or Chendrone hydrophobe? I don't like to use spray when conformal coating. I like to use a brush. There's just too much chance that a spray will get somewhere where it doesn't need to be. like into your USB port, into a button. I mean, spray is fine as long as pretty much your whole board can get conformal on it. But as soon as you have plugs and so forth that can't have spray on it, then I think there's a much bigger risk of accidentally making it not work by getting conformal on it. So I like to brush conformal on rather than spray. Silicone conformal is the place to go. Now you're asking about the Shendrone's hydrophobe, which is Andy Shen's water-resistant frame, and that's cool. That could work. Personally, if I really was going to fly around water, I probably would be conformal coating this stuff anyway. Right? Just because the hydrophobe is only going to do so much, right? And I would probably still conformal coat as much as I could. But it's pretty cool. I wouldn't say either or. I would say both. Thank you, Michael D, for a $5 super chat. And he said, he just said wanted to donate. Thank you, Michael D, for a $5 super chat. Steve Mann wants to know if I have seen a Y quadcopter anywhere for sale. A Y quadcopter. So I think you mean there's a layout, a Y4. That's what it's called. There's a motor layout called Y4. Once upon a time, I reviewed this Dragonfly 110. I reviewed this a long time ago. Oh, there we go. Cute, but not much more. That's what I had to say. Oh, look at that young fella with no facial hair. I mean, honestly, who's more handsome? I ask you. So you're probably thinking about the Y4 layout. Have I got any bench? Oh, look at me with this slow-mo takeoff. I must have had a... Oh, look at this. Look at this B-roll. Oh, I was really feeling it that day. There you go. See? You get the Y4. Oh, I apparently had the Horus back then, too. Oh, yeah. Should I do more B-roll like this in my videos? Should I keep doing this shit? I kind of go in and out of feeling like I have time for this bullshit. No. It's kind of cool. More B-roll. Now we're flying it. It's not flying well. Didn't fly great, but that's not necessarily because of the Y4 layout. Y4 has potential. I'm not sure I see the point of Y4, though. Because, like, why not just have a quadcopter? Other than the fact that you kind of want a tricopter, but you don't really want a tricopter. Like, what's the advantage of the Y4? That's the big question. Other than novelty. Adam FPV. Adam FPV was outside the warranty period. That's why he didn't go to iFlight for a repair. Well, fair enough. Everybody wants more B-roll. Damn it, you guys make me work harder. The Money Shot V2. Is that a Y4? The Money Shot V2. I knew that Catalyst was working on something like that. That's not a Y4. That's a Y6, I'm pretty sure. That's a Y6. That's different. Good website. Oh. Catalyst. Catalyst Machine Works. Do not mess with my pointer. You do not. I'm not saying that if I were shopping for a Cinelifter, I would reject Catalyst based solely on the fact that they put this bullshit on their website where this dot chases my pointer around. I'm not saying, but I am saying that I would immediately go look at someone else's website just because this annoys me that much. Catalyst, stop it. That's whoever your web designer is who thought this was a good idea. Go back and slap them and say, it's not 2007 or whatever year it was when Web 2.0 first came out and everybody was like, we can mess with everyone's user experience. Okay, why don't you just play frickin' Hamster Dance in the background while you're at it? It's not okay. It's not okay, Cat. Okay, moving on. Turn that shit off. That is not okay. I hate it. Hate it. Okay. Bubby says the dot is cool. Bubby, you listen to your elders. You listen to your elders. Where is the Money Shot 2.0? Is it up here? I don't think it's up here. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Stop that. Money Shot V2. There we go. We'll go to their webpage. No music, thank you. No, don't need a copy strikes. So yeah, the Money Shot V2 is not a Y4, it's a Y6. Now the advantage of a Y6 is that you have redundant motors, okay? So this is different than a Y4. A Y4 has 4 motors with 2 on the rear. You've gone to a Y configuration for basically no good reason. A Y6 is trying to be a hexacopter, but have more agility than a straight hexacopter. And this makes a lot more sense. The advantage of this is that you have redundancy if it tries... Well, no, do you though? No, you don't. I take that back. I'm sorry. I apologize. No, because if you lose one motor, you are going to lose yaw equilibrium, aren't you? So what are we doing here? What are we doing here? We don't have redundancy. We have more thrust. Why aren't we building a coaxial octo? I guess they must be wanting something between a coaxial octo. Like this is going to be lighter than a coaxial octo because it has two fewer motors. But it feels to me, and I mean, Catalyst Machine Works, I should really just ask them and have them speak, because they didn't produce this machine just on a whim. They had a good reason for doing it. Joe Minty says you could lose a front motor but not a rear. I'm not convinced that's true. All of these motors are counter-rotating. I assume they're coaxial counter-rotating. Yeah, that's what the props look like. I think. No. Am I wrong about that? Oh, hang on. No, that can't be right. They have to be coaxial counter-rotating. Is it only the rear? Oh, hang on. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. I think they're coaxial counter-rotating. So I guess what confuses me about this is by going to a coaxial octo, you gain the ability to lose a motor. You have a little bit more weight, but it feels like that's a trade-off that most people flying a cinema camera would be willing to make. So I mean, I would absolutely want to give them a chance to tell what their design philosophy was. I assume that there's a problem they're trying to solve, like the coaxial octos are too heavy. Let's see. You could spin the other 2 motors in the same rotation to compensate. Interesting. If you lost one motor, could you spin the other 2 twice as fast and try and compensate? Maybe. Maybe you could. Okay. Interesting. Brandon RC has linked to this video, which is showing a single motor failure on a Hexa Y6. Okay. If you have redundancy, if you could lose a motor and not crash, then this makes a lot more sense to me. Well, let's find out. Oh, yeah. Okay. Apparently you can lose a motor and not crash and still maintain yaw equilibrium. Fair enough. Well, then it makes sense, because at that point you still have redundancy and you have more maneuverability than an octo and less weight. Oh, good point, Brandon Beans. Brandon Beans said, well, if it lost a motor, it could revert to a Y4, couldn't it? I guess so. If you can fly a Y4 with only a single set of counter-rotating motors for yaw control, then you could lose up to 2 motors, couldn't you? You could lose 2 motors and still have yaw control on the remaining axis. Makes sense. Okay. Well, I like to say that there's no better way to find out the truth than by speaking loudly on the internet and being told you're wrong. So thank you guys for helping me get that straightened out. Let's see here. Justin Rice, thank you for a $5 super chat. Catalyst Machine Works is a Y6. It's also iNav with GPS position hold. JB, please do an iNav setup video. I did. Justin Rice, my $120. Justin says, I'll for sure become a patron if you do an iNav setup video. Okay. Great. Here you go. I already did it. Here's a link. This is the video number 1 in the playlist. The whole playlist is right here. This is the full playlist. So it starts with beta flight, but then it goes to iNav right here. Let's see if I can copy this. Can I copy this? Copy link address. There you go, my friend. Justin Rice. Looking forward to having you as a patron. Okay, it's not a Cinna lifter, but it is a complete iNav setup guide. Got him! Oh. Bubby says, if you're looking to make your drones lighter, just get rid of the motors. You don't need them. Bubby not really too concerned about weight anyway. Flying them chonker quads. Beta Flight does have a Y6 mixer. Mr. Huggy points out that those videos are out of date with iNav 4. That's fair. That's fair. A lot has changed in iNav 4. Okay, Justin Rice, I guess I still owe you videos. iNav 4 is pretty special. I've got a little announcement. I'm not officially authorized to make this announcement. Well, whatever. They can't control me. I'm going rogue. I'm like Elon Musk. I'll say what I want. Dogecoin to the moon! Hold on a second. I'm supposed to buy Dogecoin before I did that. How to buy Dogecoin. To the moon! Oh, okay. I feel like people would be more willing to buy Dogecoin if they literally got a coin like this. I don't know. I got a little leak. The JBF7 flight controller is undergoing revision. It's undergoing revision. We're working on the V2 or whatever. That's not the first major hardware revision of the JBF7 flight controller. And one of the things we're going to do is add iNav support. That's one of our goals. The stumbling block has been that the barometer chip. So the iNav has to have a barometer, and my flight controller didn't have a barometer on board. But when we initially proposed the idea, the barometer chip was like $10. Well, I can't remember if it was $10 was our cost or $10 was what it would have cost to pass that on to the consumer. So if it's like there's a certain markup, right, that you have to have. I can't remember if it was. I think it was that it would have increased the cost of the flight controller by about $10. And I was like, geez, how many people are flying iNav? Is it worth raising? Because everything has gotten more expensive. The whole flight controller is more expensive. And I thought, I don't want to add $10 to the retail cost just to support iNav. No offense. No offense, iNav pilots. But to make everybody else pay $10 extra just for the percentage of people who fly iNav, to me, it just didn't feel like it was worth it. However, the price of the barometer chip came down. And who knows if it'll stay that way, but it came down to a level where I thought, okay, it's worth it. And I hope that this is not a promise, and that's why I'm not supposed to be talking about it yet. But I hope that the new version of the JBF7 will have iNav support. At which point, it would make sense for me to do an iNav 4.0 tutorial, wouldn't it? We shall see. Yeah. I would like there to be iNav support. So. Yeah, there's several people who want it to have a barrel. Hang on a second. I can show you guys. Hang on. Wait 1 second. I'll just give you This is not going on the Livestream clips channel. This is just for the people who watch the live stream. That reminds me. Is Nightbot doing its thing? Is Nightbot messed up? Nightbot's not working. Nightbot's supposed to be doing his thing, and it's not. I'm supposed to be announcing my Livestream clips channel, among other things. Oh, there he is. Okay. Thanks, Nightbot. Just not spamming the chat. Fair enough. I'm sure you guys would prefer that Nightbot not spam the chat. Here's some. This is not set in stone. This is not set in stone, but I'll give you guys a little teaser. Another thing that we're going to do is we're going to put plugs on it. So that if people want to do a pluggable install, they can. This is not set in stone. Little teaser, that's all. On the top side, I asked them to add status LEDs so that you could easily see, like if you're 9-volt bus, if you're 5-volt bus, if you're 3.3-volt bus, you can easily get, it helps with troubleshooting. Here's that barometer. Yeah, that's it. That's the, oh, and a USB-C. Yeah, we're going to USB-C, obviously. They wanted to take the black box, the SD card off. They said, well, if we take the SD card off, we'll save a little bit of money. I was like, no! I want the SD card! That's my thing! They were like, okay, why are you shouting at us? It's Ret9 says, what chip or sensor is it? It's the new one, the new betterer one. Is that's not the BMP 280, is it? Which one is it? Which is the new betterer one? Hold on, I can look in this conversation. We talked about it, but I don't remember. It's either the DPS 310 or the BMP 280. Which is better, the DSP 310 or the BMP 280? Tell me, chat. BMP 280 is the older one. I do not sign each flight controller personally. No. Why not do onboard flash, says Crunked. Because onboard flash is freaking annoying. Onboard flash holds 2, maybe 3 flights at most. And I just want to put it up and fly. And then land at the end and have 50 logs that I can just download off. I don't want to have to do this bullshit with downloading and erasing the data flash. I just want to use the SD card slot. Yeah. Yep. So. Oh, throwing some salt. Throwing some salt. Wow. Says the guy who hasn't done a PID tuning video in years. Really? Are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Where's that comment? I saw that comment. It doesn't have Bluetooth on board. It doesn't. Nick S. throwing some salt. I haven't done a black box tuning video in years, Nick. Nick, you better hit that subscription. You better subscribe and hit the bell. The last time I did a PID tuning video was July 3rd, where I went through the Chris Rosser PID tuning method. So I believe that July 3rd was less than a year ago, but that the chat can check me on that. I did an in-depth 3-video series, a total of about 45 minutes. Before that, it was January. So it's looking like I'm at about a 6-month PID tuning time frame. I will also say I was working on Brian White's basement PID tune. Oh my God, look at this BS. I was working. This was, when was this? Oh, the dates have been changed because I copied these files to a different hard drive. August 12th. That was in August. I started this and I spent like a month working on this and having all kinds of problems, only to have the flight controller I was using end up having a bad gyro. And I basically barfed all over myself and just stopped looking. So the reason I haven't done a PID tuning video since July is that this was so much damn work. And then after literally a month of work on all this BS, having to scrap it, I didn't want to look at it ever again. But that's exactly right. It starts. I actually reached out to Brian White. The PID Toolbox guy. I reached out to Brian White and said, hey, he was helping me with this process because I really wanted to get his input. I said, hey, Brian, sorry for leaving you hanging. He said he has some new stuff coming for Betaflight 4.3. Where did he say that? Oh, yeah. He said, I've been developing a new tuning protocol around Betaflight 4.3. Love to talk about it. So I'm still hoping, that was in November. So, yeah. I'm still hoping to get a hold of him and work on that PID tuning video. But there you go. Honestly, though, other shit keeps coming up. That's the bottom line, honestly. Like right now, the quad that I am planning to use for this PID tuning video is also the quad that I want to put the KISS Ultra in. By the way, ooh, look what I've got. Look what I've got. I have KISS Ultra. Thank you to Phantom FPV. Phantom FPV sent me his quad. Sorry for rubbing it in, guys. Phantom FPV sent me his quad with KISS Ultra in it so I could try it out. And just talking about the fact that I had flown KISS Ultra, I don't know. That was what it took. Alex Fedorov, Feder Commander, he was like, here, I'm going to drop these in the mail for you. So now I have them and I can try them in my quad, which I know how it flies. And I can do Betaflight 4.3, KISS Ultra, and Fett Tech G4 in the same quad. Woo! Now, I will ask you, should I do that? Or should I do a Betaflight PID tuning video? Which would you rather see? I know which one I'd rather make. Anyway. Bottom line is, I use Blackbox for all kinds of things. Other than making PID tuning videos, I just use Blackbox. So, we shall see. Anyway. Betaflight 4.3 PID tuning is not going to be that different from Betaflight 4.2 or Betaflight 4.1. No offense. The bottom line to me is that the basic steps of PID tuning are kind of the same. Not that much has changed. I know everybody wants, oh yeah, do a PID tuning video. The basic steps are the same. And especially if, like most people, you're not willing to dive into the black box. Yeah. Anyway. Bobby Baggs says, how do I get a KISS Ultra? Step 1, have a YouTube channel with a few 100,000 subscribers. Step 2. Now, there are very small batches of them coming in. And you just got to wait till they come into stock and buy them. DBM at 55 asks, is there a CLI command to turn off the failsafe red flag and yellow box in the mode tab, no stick movement? DBM, if you have, let's go look at Betaflight configurator so we are on the same page. Nope, wrong window. There we go. I'm going to use this new cool feature in Betaflight 4.3, configurator 10.8 that is. This is not available in the release builds. This is only available in the nightly builds. There's this virtual mode where you can connect to a virtual flight controller without actually having a flight controller, just for demonstration purposes. Super cool. I'm a huge fan of this. And we're going to go to the Modes tab. And I think what you're seeing is that you have the failsafe mode activated. So you have done add range and you've added the failsafe mode so that now the flight controller thinks it's in failsafe, right? It thinks it's in failsafe. I don't know. There. And in that case, what you need to do is delete that failsafe mode. Just bye. That's what you need to do. Now, if what you've got is RX failsafe, because your receiver isn't working, then you need to get your receiver working. Okay. Hey, Alexander Fedorov. We're going to definitely make you a moderator. Very good to see you, man. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for coming out. Definitely want to turn him into a moderator, so. Yeah, Mitch Thompson, exactly. Mitch Thompson says, everyone expects magic from the PID tuning, but in reality, the truth is, make the quad fly okay by tuning PIDs, then get good at flying and adjust rates accordingly. And there's a lot of truth to that, Mitch. When I first got into FPV, I was very, very interested in how PID controllers worked and how to tune them for best results. And two things have happened to change that. Number one is PID controllers have gotten way better. The default PIDs have just gotten better and better and better. And number two is I've come to realize that what's holding most people back, including me, is their ability as a pilot and their stick time, not their PIDs. So that isn't to say that it's not fun to play with PIDs. And that isn't to say that PIDs don't make a difference. For example, most people running Betaflight on like a 5-inch quad, for example. Hang on. Most people, if they go to the PID tuning tab, enable sliders. If they go to the PID, oh, the virtual flight controller isn't quite working. Hang on, let me plug in a real flight controller. This part isn't working on the virtual one. There we go. Most people, what in the frick is happening here? Hang on. Reset settings. There we go. Most people are going to love the way their quadcopter flies if they raise the master multiplier a little bit. It's just going to get better for a 5-inch quad. Or maybe they would prefer to raise the PD gain and leave the I gain alone. But Betaflight's PIDs are conservative. And by raising the master multiplier a little bit, it will feel sharper and it probably will fly better to a certain point. Now, I don't know how far that point is. Is it like 1.5? Is it? I don't know. But like tweaking the PIDs absolutely can make the quad fly better. But there's this sort of rough, there's this rough tune. There's this rough tuning method that you can do. Like I made this video in June of 2020. That was more than a year ago, for those who are keeping score. I made this video, Betaflight 4.2 in-depth PID tune on 6S. And this is basically, I just go, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. And, yeah. Hey, PID tune, I did it! I tuned the PIDs! I just like slap the sliders around and I try to get the quad flying good and I get on with my day. And the truth is, that's what I do on most of my quads. I don't have time to just all this, oh, let's get in there and let's just get the perfect PID tune. My PID tune is perfect. My step response is perfect. Oh no, I changed batteries and now it's not perfect anymore. What am I gonna do? So yeah. Hey, Phantom FPV is here. Good to see you, Phantom. Anyway, that's part of the reason why I'm less interested in PIDs than I used to be. But, And frankly, another part of it is that guys like UAV Tech and Chris Rosser, UAV Tech and Brian White, they're making these videos that show how to do the very, very in-depth PID tune for the people who want it perfect. And frankly, I watch their tutorials and I go, I didn't know that. So who am I to make tutorials then about stuff like that I don't know as well as they do? Anyway. Is there a better long-range VTX than the Rush Tank Solo? Asks John. John, there is an AKK VTX that goes up to something like 2 or 3 watts. It's not legal to use in the United States, but if you decided to do that, or if you're outside the United States, that might be better. I think the Rush Tank Solo is one of the best, though. Very good quality and high output power. Alexander Fedorov, you got to figure out how to get these KISS Ultras manufactured faster. People want them, dude. And if I start making videos about them, people are going to want them even more. No, not trying to toot my own horn. I've heard from other people that when I make a video about something, demand spikes. So, yeah. Thank you for this, but you've signed your fate. One IFPV, you are correct. NVIDIA is doing the heavy lifting there. This is NVIDIA Broadcast, which is doing the keying here without a green. It's AI-based keying. It's pretty damn good, honestly. The only part about it that bugs me a little is how the microphone covers my arm. It's a little bothersome, but I mean, life goes on. I've thought about switching to a boom mic overhead out of camera view, but I just feel like this is part of my hey, what's up? I couldn't do this. I couldn't do the up close voice. What's up, you guys? Anyway, Leo Ponce 82 in the Discord has a great question. I was on Edge TX, but TBS Agent Lite would not connect to the TX module. Went back to OpenTX and it worked. That is an interesting question, Leo. What radio do you have? What radio do you have, Leo? Yeah, if I used a boom mic, what would I fidget with on the stream? Exactly. Yeah, pros do use an overhead boom mic, though. That's how a lot of I mean, like podcasters and radio guys like Ken Heron always have a mic in front of them because that's what they're used to. But, a lot of, television, sometimes they'll use a lavalier mic as well, but an overhead mic just out of camera could be nice. Could be nice. I don't know. I just think it would be annoying to look at. That's me. It needs to be real close to your mouth for it to not have a lot of room, not a room noise. Got some more super chats to read. Let's do that. Scott Milano, one of my favorite cookies. Scott Milano, thank you for a $10 super chat. Can you show how to wire the DJI Vista kit to a Fett Tech 35 AIO flight controller, including how to use DJI control? Yeah, the Fett Tech 35 AIO. Times like this, I kind of wish I had a pen to draw stuff, but we're going to do our best here. Okay, so we got the Fett Tech Kiss AIO 35 amp. Where's the pinout. I need a pinout diagram, guys. I need a pinout diagram. No? Come on. Give it to me. Everybody who makes a product page that doesn't include a pinout diagram can go to hell. Why would you do this? Should this be on kissultra.com? Kissultra.com. Isn't this there? No. Where should I go to find this? Can I have... Is it marked? TX4... Oh my god. We got 5-volt TX4. Oh, I'm dying here. Mr. Huggy, thank you so much in the Discord. Oh, a user manual. Is the user manual linked? Is the user manual linked? No. Okay, so user manual needs to be linked from the product page. Everyone in the world needs to do that. Okay. Oh, you guys couldn't see. You just saw me cussing. Sorry, you didn't see me looking. I forgot to switch scenes. Okay, so let's look at the user manual. Thank you for making a beautiful user manual, which not everybody does. Need a pinout. There we go. Okay, wonderful. So then let's grab this. Okay. Bonk. And we need a, what is it, Caddx Vista? Caddx Vista. Need just any image to grab. Images. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Perfect. Give me Oscar Leon saving the day as usual. There's always room for somebody out there who's still doing non-video content. But where is the image? Damn it! Open image in new tab. How could the image not be on the page? Not okay. Okay. So now, can I just paste this in here? No. Okay. Okay, we'll just bring up Photoshop then. Fine. Okay. Can I crop? No. Can I adjust canvas size? No. Image. Canvas size. Wow, this is a great live stream. Percent. I just want to frickin' draw some shit on some shit. I don't understand. There we go. That's, oh my god, it's working. I'm almost there. I'm almost there. Okay, where are we going to put this now? So the first thing I wonder is, has he given us a plug or something that we could already use? He's in the chat. Alexander is in the chat. He's probably telling you already what the right way to do this is. But I can't see that because I don't have that screen up. So this is the receiver plug. Where does that leave us? It looks like we only have one other spare UART. Is there another UART on the other side? I don't... Oh, yes there is. Okay, we got another plug on the other side. This is where we're going to want to be, for sure. So let's get rid of that. This is on the... That's where we want to be. He's shouting in the chat right now. Go to the underside. Go to the bottom side. That's where you want to be. I'm not seeing it because I'm not looking at the chat. That's why this is high quality content. High quality content. Okay. So what do we got? We got VCC, ground, video in, video out, 5 volt, 16 volt Beck, and TX3 and RX3. So if we assume that you are not using the DJI controller, then what you're going to want to do is, where's the brush? I want a pen. Pencil tool. Oh yeah, that's good. That's perfect. Okay. So we're going to want ground and VBAT. We're going to take VBAT. I would run it off 16 volts. Because filtered power, the Vista can run off of VBAT, but filtered power will be a little bit safer. So I would run it off 16 volts. 16V, not 5 volts. It can't run off 5 volts. Then for ground, obviously we're going to go to ground. We're only going to need one of these grounds, damn it. We're only going to need one ground. We're not going to use video in or video out because that's for analog, and we don't need to use the second ground. And then I guess we're going to do TX3 and RX3. It's labeled VCS, and I don't really know what that is. But RX is going to go to TX, and TX is going to go to RX. And that's how I would wire it up. If you're using the DJI controller, then you would also need to wire the S-Bus pad, and you would wire that to the receiver plug here. You would not use 5 volts. You would not use ground. You would just use signal for S-Bus, I'm guessing, is how it's intended to be. And that is how we do it. And now I'm going to look in the chat, and I'm going to see if everyone's screaming at me to do it differently. What do you mean, wrong screen? Oh, fuck. God damn it. Sorry, chat. Screen grab that. Oh, my God. I'm the best. I'm the best at streaming. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little interlude. Yeah, there's a jumper. Wait, have I selected the right flight controller? Did I pick the wrong flight controller? Is that not the one that he was asking about? Did he asked about the Fett KISS 35, right? Okay. I think he did. Okay. Yeah, and then people are pointing out you have to use the 16 volt jumper. Where is the 16 volt jumper on this guy? Beck 5 volt / 16 volt. Surely there's a jumper for selecting that. Where is it? Where's the 5 / 16? How do you switch that to 16 volts? I mean, you could just use VBAT. I don't know. I don't see it. Switchable voltage, real pit capable. How do you switch it? Switchable in real pit. Yeah, but how do you switch it? How do you switch it? It's not obvious to me how you would switch the 16 volts. I will again go to the chat, who is probably screaming at me. It's in the configurator? No. Is it really in the configurator? That's clever. Tell me how to do it, Alexander Fedorov. It's in software. Damn. Damn. Without a jumper? You mean you're not going to make them solder bridge stuff? Ooh. Finally living up to your name. Keeping it simple. No, I'm joking. The ability to switch the voltage in software. What a concept. Alrighty. That's it. I mean, now I'm impressed. You got onboard OSD. When you had onboard OSD, I was like, yeah, well, Betaflight's had that for years. Finally, there's a feature I can point to. And I'm like, hey, Betaflight, catch up. Amar Fatiri asked, can you switch the air unit on and off using aux channel? Yeah. So if we go back over here, it says Real Pit capable. What that means is that you can switch. Real Pit is a product. It means you can switch the VTX on and off in software. Exactly. So you absolutely can do that. There's a jumper for Cadex MSP, says Baskin. I am not confusing Alexander Fedorov with Felix. I hope that you're talking about somebody other than me, because I've been to KISS school and learned the difference. I passed the test. Is there another jumper for MSP? Like, is there something to do with onboard OSD jumper, where if you are using DJI, then you like desolder that or whatever? Nick S. Nick S, I know that this is a FetTech board. I just was checking to make sure I was right. This is a FetTech board. I'm familiar with Felix. And Alexander. Yeah. I am familiar. I love when people call me this dude. It's also really cool. All right. I feel like we've spent at least $10 worth of people's time for that super chat. Thank you, Scott Milano. Thank you, Martin Wynn, for a £5 super chat. Thanks for keeping this channel politics, religion, and conspiracy free and strictly FPV. Dmitry Kalnin, thank you for 200 rubles. How much noise on D-term is a good amount? Can you show some good D-term black box graphs? Dimitri, you want as little noise as possible coming from your gyro, okay? There's no way to look at a black box and say, this is okay and this is... like you could look at a black box and go, this looks really clean. And you could look at a black box and go, this looks really bad. But there's this wide space in the middle where it might look bad, but it flies fine, or it might look okay, but it has some problem. It's really impossible to just look at a black box log and say, this is okay, or, well, you can look at really bad ones and say that it's bad, but you really just have to know how it's flying. You want as little a noise as possible, and then you fly the quad. And if you have signs of excess noise while flying, that tells you you have work to do. And if the quad flies well, that tells you you're fine. The signs of excess noise are hot motors, a trilling or a trilling sound, a tendency to not throttle down or try to fly away. These are some of the things that mean you have too much noise. So there's no way to just look at a black box and say this is where the line is. Miguel T, thank you for a $5 super chat. What's the difference between a 4.3 and a 16.9 analog camera? At the end, I only see a 4.3 on my HDO2 with rapid fire. The camera, a 4.3 and a 16.9 camera may have a different size sensor. The sensor inside the camera may be 4.3 or 16.9 aspect ratio. However, many cameras are switchable. So the camera may have a 4.3 sensor, but you switch it to 16.9 mode and it crops the down. Or it may have a 16.9 sensor and you switch it to 4.3 mode and it crops in. In general, I prefer to run the camera with whatever its native sensor ratio is, because I want to see all of the image. I don't want to crop in. So that means that generally I buy cameras with 4:3 sensors so I can get maximum vertical field of view, because I think that's what I want when I'm flying. Grimmy West, thank you for 449 pounds. And Dmitry Kalnin, thank you for another 400 rubles. I had a jitter on my sticks with the Jumper T16, switched to Mambo, and the sticks are doing the same thing. The only common thing is the Crossfire TX. How do I get rid of the jitter? The way to fix jitter, Dmitry, is with deadband or with better gimbals. I suspect that Crossfire is not causing the jitter. I think that's extremely unlikely. The Crossfire system itself simply transmits the data that it receives from the gimbals. I think what you've got is that both the Mambo and the Jumper T16 have issues with their gimbals and have a little bit of jitter in the gimbals. So you would go to the PID tuning tab and add deadband, and that would hopefully fix jitter at center stick. Crabtree FPV, thanks for $4. Happy holidays, and thanks for all you do. Thank you, Crabtree, for everything you do. You do a lot. I think I figured out why. He thought I was confusing Alexander Fedorov and Felix. Alexander being the KISS Ultra guy, and Felix being the Fett Tech guy. I think I figured it out because we were looking at a Fett Tech flight controller, but I was talking to Alexander, who is in the chat. I do know that they are different people. I was just, Alexander's right here in the chat, and we were looking at a KISS flight controller, so I was talking to him. Yeah. I only want to point that out because I have mixed them up in the past. Well, I didn't mix them up. I knew they were different people, but in the past, I was not fully clear on the relationship between Fett Tech and KISS Ultra and Fedorov and Felix. And thankfully, some beautiful, beautiful, lovely people sat down with me and took the time they made me flashcards. We practiced with slides, and now I'm straight. So just want to acknowledge that. Okay. Let's see. I don't think calibration is going to get rid of gimbal jitter. No, I don't think so. Can I do a little plug for a friend of mine who is going to be doing something really cool today? Ghost Branch FPV, a regular participant in the chat and on my Discord server. Ghost Branch FPV, do you see this picture of my beautiful frame? Or how about this picture? Ghost Branch FPV is a photographer, a very good photographer. But this is not a photograph. This is a 3D render. He is also an excellent 3D artist. He created this 3D render of my frame. I'm absolutely stunned at the quality of his work. Here, if we look a little closer, it becomes a little more obvious that it's a render. I'm absolutely stunned at the quality of his work. It's extraordinary. Ghost Branch is going to be doing a live stream at 3 p.m. Sorry, Siati. He's streaming over you. He's going to be doing a live stream at 3 p.m. Basically a Blender tutorial, if you will, showing how he modeled my QAVS in Blender. And I'll put a link to that in the chat if you're interested in seeing how that went. By all means, come on over. I'm gonna go hang out there for a few minutes before I get on with my day. It's just like, even if you're not super interested in Blender, just to see this is clearly just a master at work. And to see him work, I mean, I just love seeing people who are excellent do their work. He also made me this. He also made me this as an intro for my, so we could use it as a live stream intro. So that's kind of cool, isn't it? Anyway, so check that out at 3 o'clock after the live stream. I can't decide. I like this, and I like the red tape on the arm just because I know it's going to piss people off, and I enjoy them getting annoyed at my aesthetic choice that they disagree with. I'm not sure about the actual spool of tape. I almost feel like this would be better without the spool of tape. I feel like the spool of tape, I don't know. I think it looks just, it pushes it into the uncanny valley. I can't decide. I like the tape on the arm, though. It's very good. Anyway. The quadcopter frame looks so close to real, and the spool of tape is just unreal enough. I feel like it knocks it out. But Dimitri Kalnin says, thank you for another 100 rubles, Dimitri. Thank you for your generosity. It seems like the jitter gets worse when I crank the power up on the Crossfire TX. Ah, so what you may have is interference from the Crossfire transmitter causing jitter in the analog circuitry of the modules. That's plausible. I don't know what you could do to fix that, though, other than turn the power down. The bottom line is if you have a TBS controller that's having this problem, TBS needs to figure out how to make it right. Enema, there's nothing upsetting about that. Enema says it looks like a copy of the Apex. There's nothing upsetting about that. You can have an opinion about how it looks. To me, the big difference, I really am a big fan of the way these arms attach. I mean, the fact that it uses a split deck design, I think, is what you're keying off of. It does use a split deck design. The Apex was not the first frame. I'm not going to ban you. Calm down. The Apex was not the first frame to use a split deck design. I believe that was the Reverb, pioneered by Final Glide. Yeah, the Reverb used a split deck. Now, granted, that was also an Impulse RC frame. Fair enough. But the big difference to me is the way the arms attach on the QAVS. I mean, you may, like, you say, if you're going to just say that Impulse RC owns the idea of a split deck design, well, I'm never going to get on board with that. You know, credit to them for coming up with a split deck design. That's fine. But they don't own it. That's not, you know, lots of frames have a split deck design. You may as well say that Blackout owns the idea of a carbon fiber bottom plate. He doesn't. To me, the big advantage of this is the way the arms come together. I wish I could find a dang... the arms are single screw change without a slit through the arm, which I think is one of the big selling points for me of this frame. Held in with a key. So the big difference between this and the Apex is how the arms come together, which is completely original on the QAVS. Also, my QAVS is a little bit lighter than the Apex. And another big difference that I think is significant is on the QAVS, this standoff goes through the arm and through the top plate or the rear plate, whereas in the Apex, it does not. And I think it matters. So on the Apex, that standoff goes here. It does not go through that back plate. And in my experience, now obviously the Apex is an extremely strong quad. I'm not calling this a weak spot, but in my experience, when that bottom plate breaks, you see how we got extra material right here? This, having your standoff like this creates a stress point right here in this bottom plate, which on many frames results in a stress crack there, and that's the first place it breaks because you're taking all these hits. The apex is clearly very well designed, and I would never criticize it. But I think this is a stronger approach because now you have effectively more material here to absorb this stress as opposed to concentrating the stress right here. So those are just a couple of the ways in which my QAV-S frame, designed by Ryan Harrell, is distinct from the apex. It wouldn't be the first time I heard somebody say they thought it was a copy. Ghost Branch says, yeah, it looks just like the apex. Both have 4 arms and are made mostly of carbon fiber. Yeah. What's the advantage of the standoffs not being a cylinder? It's aesthetics. There's no advantage. It's just aesthetics. I suppose it saves weight. Like, I suppose you're saving just a little bit of weight by making these thinner. I don't even know if that's true, but it's mostly aesthetics. Yeah, Fedorov, you're right. On the apex, the big difference is that this standoff is part of the camera cage. So this plate, let me see if I can get a better picture of it. Is this a good picture? No. Okay, there you go. So on the apex, this X plate here butts up against these standoffs tightly. And that creates a kind of a box construction that strengthens the front end. That is 100% true. But what happens when you have a box construction like that is that where does the stress in a frontal impact get transferred? When you have a frontal impact on the top, that stress is transferred back into the bottom plate and creates stress right here just behind this standoff. And likewise, when you have an impact on the bottom, well, it creates stress up here as well, but it tries to sort of rack it and create stress just behind this standoff. Generally, a stress crack on the bottom plate forms, not on the apex specifically, because the apex is, like, it's got a thicker bottom plate. How thick is that bottom plate? Is that 2.5? Yeah, it's 2.5 millimeter. Upper is 2 millimeter. That's the same thing we did on mine. So there's a reason they did it the way they did it. But, yeah. Anyway. Thank you, Shrey Gupta, for 200 rupees. Are there any AIO boards with I2C or SPI broken out or a barometer? Thank you for your work and happy holidays. I'm gonna guess the Flywoo Goku. Chat, weigh in if there are any all-in-one. I'm guessing you want a toothpick flight controller, all-in-one. Speedy Turtle FPV, that's for the OSD board. The Apex is designed for use with the KISS flight controller with a standalone OSD board. What is an all-in-one? Flight controller and ESC with basically iNav support. Basically iNav support. I only picked the Flywoo Goku because I just think that they have a lot of, I think they lean that direction. So let's look at the, can we filter on all-in-ones? I don't know that we can. Electronics, FCSC stacks, flight controllers. If we go to flight controllers, do we get an all-in-one? Here is an all-in-one. Yep, it does have a barometer, and I'm guessing that means, yeah, I2C and other functions are all open. Yeah, so I would look at the Flywoo brand. The iFlight Beast H7 is a no-go. Does the F7, I don't know that the F7 has barometer. Does it have barometer? And iNav support? The H7 has problems with Betaflight support for the barometer. Does the Beast H7 work correctly on iNav 4.0? That's a good question. Chat, Tell me the answer. The Beast H7 doesn't work correctly on Betaflight. Either the D-shot, either bidirectional D-shot doesn't work or the barometer doesn't work. Chat is telling me that the Beast H7 works correctly on iFlight 4.0. Because I think iFlight 4.0 added H7 support. Let's just double check that. Beast H7 V2 fixes the problem. Is that true? So you could certainly look at the Beast H7, assuming that you're going to be running iNav. I'm not sure. Have they fixed the problem? Have they fixed the problem in the Beast H7 V2? I don't know. Does the Beast F7 have a barometer? Barometer, DSP 310. So I think the Beast F7 would be an okay choice. I'm not sure whether you want the H7. So those are some choices. I would stay away from the Beast H7 if you're running Betaflight for sure. The barometer on the F7 also requires Betaflight 4.3. But does bidirectional D-shot work on 4.3? The Beast F7 does not have a barometer. It says it does. It absolutely says it does. Is that a lie? No, he wants an all-in-one. Mamba AIO F722. He wants an all-in-one. Let's see. Mamba AIO F722. 35 amp. BLS ESC. Do we have... It does not seem to... It does have a barometer. Well, presumably it also has I2C broken out. I2C, whatever. Why is it so hard to get good diatone wiring diagrams? Why is it so hard to get the full? Where's the GPS? So it does not... Here it's showing the GPS, but it is not showing I2C breakout. It's just showing 4 wires, not 6 wires. Does this have I2C broken out? I'm not 100% sure it does. Jake Sloan says the V1 of the Beast F7 has a barometer, but the V2 does not. Let's see. Beast F7. Do we have a V2 as well as a V1? Really? Okay, first of all, why are we on page 4? Beast F7 AIO. Golly, $140. Are you joking? That's painful. That's painful. V2 dropped the barometer is what people are telling me. Fair enough. So there you go. Those are some choices. Thank you, Shrey Gupta, for the question. There's a big discussion. You can do I2C on a UART pad. Fair enough. If there's an iNav target for it, then you're good to go. There's a big discussion going on in the Discord over whether you should say SharkBite or HD0. Given Fat Shark's attitude towards their SharkBite products, I agree that HD0 is the thing to say. I sometimes say SharkBite just out of habit, but I'm trying to switch to HD0. So, yeah. Fat Shark is basically... Fat Shark doesn't seem interested in making VTXs or supporting VTXs anymore, or cameras. Fat Shark just seems interested in making goggles, and given Fat Shark's enthusiasm for making goggles in the past, Fat Shark's attitude towards making goggles has been, are you not happy with the goggles we're already making? They're so good. Fine. Here's another set of goggles. Oh, you don't like those as much as we were hoping you would. You guys are the worst. I'm not helping my relationship with Fat Shark here. Sorry, Fat Shark. That's how it feels. When you get a better marketing department to lie to us about how you feel about your customers, then it will stop seeming that way. You just need one dude in charge of the social media who isn't Greg. And then they can just make it seem like you have a different attitude. Here's the thing. Well, anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say about that. What else should we talk about? What else should we talk about? This is it. This is your moment. We have no super chats. We have no outstanding questions. Oh my goodness. We're going to do super chats about that. Bob Noxious RX, thanks for a $2 super chat asking me to make Mike Crabtree a mod again. That's not the kind of thing I'm going to talk about on stream. That's a private conversation to have with Mike. He did lose his mod status. He lost his mod status because he was having an argument with somebody. That person ended up getting hidden. Basically, you can hide somebody from a YouTube channel, which means that your comments will never be seen in the comment section, and your chats will never be seen on Livestream chat. Mike hid the person. Then Mike said, "Whoops, I'm sorry, I don't know what happened." And I took away Mike's mod status because if Mike is intentionally hiding people he's having an argument with, that's obviously not appropriate. And if he's like accidentally hiding people he's having an argument with, well, we're just going to make sure we limit the damage. If it's happening without him meaning to do it, well, we're just going to take away his mod status and figure that out. Now Mike is asking for his mod status back, and the chat is going back and forth on whether he should have his mod status back. That's an HR conversation that's going to happen behind the scenes. That's not something we're going to work out here on the chat. So there's really nothing more to say about that. Hey, Nick Sebring, good to see you, my friend. That's it, Mike. That's an HR conversation, quote unquote, that we're going to have behind the scenes. We're not going to have that conversation here on chat. So that's your cue to stop having the conversation here in chat. Would be my preference. You're obviously a free person and you can talk about whatever you want, but that would be I'm done talking about it. You, obviously the chat can talk about it all they want. I'm not trying to censor you. Unlike with politics, where if you talk about politics, I'll say stop it, and if you don't stop it, I'll kick you out. If you want to argue about Mike getting his status back, that's up to you. I don't care. You do it. Just make yourselves happy. But I'm done. Doghouse FPV wants to know what I'm going to demand of the Express LRS devs this week. I don't have any actual demands from Express LRS. They're kicking ass. 507RC and other people are asking about the Netflix film. We are... I'm happy to say we are almost in a position to get the errors and omissions insurance that we need to get before we can sell the film. I don't really know what errors and omissions insurance was before I became an executive producer. Some would say that that's the kind of thing you should know before you become an EP on a film. I'm a learn-as-I-go kind of guy. I always have been. But the legal paperwork for getting the E&O insurance is nearly all in place. And that's a step towards selling the film. That's all I got. We are preparing to do an email blast to buyers for various services. We wanted to finish festival season and get all the awards we were going to get before we put this email blast out. Now the email blast is going to go out. We have a guy we've hired to represent the film who has connections in the industry, and he is also sort of working those connections. I'm not going to give a time frame, but I will say that the phases of the film were: step 1, make the film. Done. Step 2, go through a festival season and get awards for the film. Done. Step 3, begin to actively attempt to sell the film. Obviously, at any point, if someone had come along and said, here is $1 zillion, we would have just sold the film. But so like sell the film has always been on the table. But we are entering the stage of actively try to sell the film. And to me, for all you guys out there who are wanting to see the film, to me, that's when the clock starts, where if after a certain amount of time the film hasn't sold, we just go, okay, F it. Let's just put it out there. As opposed to try to get it on a streaming service. So for those of you who are like, when will the film be available? I feel like this is roughly the point where the clock has started on my patience running out and saying, okay, this isn't happening. Until we actually actively start trying to sell the film, though, the fact that the film hasn't sold yet doesn't tell us anything. So, anyway. Hang on one second. Okay, sorry. Vurley says, any drones or parts from which I can build a good drone for around 150 to 200 bucks. Vurley, if you can build an okay drone for around 200 bucks, maybe 150. Less than about 150 is very, very challenging these days. I would suggest you check out my website, fpvknowitall.com, which is the home of the ultimate FPV shopping list, because the word ultimate makes things a lot more clicky. Go there and pick the type of drone you want to build, whether it's a freestyle drone, a racing drone, etc. And then I have suggested parts at various price points, including inexpensive price points. So that's what I would do. Check that out. That virtual background looking fire, says Ron Vaccaro. That's that NVIDIA, baby. Got that 3080 life. Got that 3080 life. Mads Tech, good to see you in the chat, my friend. Thomas Shoes World says you type like a beast. How many words per minute do you type? Is it time to do that again? Is it that time again? Is it time to check my words per minute? What the frick? Oh, I see. Is that how this is going to work? All right. $122. I think I could do better. Need a little more coffee. Ah! Damn, got slower. Oh well. 120. 100 to 120, depending. If you throw punctuations in, I get a lot worse. Oh, I get a lot worse with punctuation. Okay, wait. Do it again. Do it again. It would be better if this was actual word sentences. $111. That's not that much worse. There you go. Congratulations. Thanks for the opportunity to show off my typing speed. Green Tape FPV wants to know, can you tell me about SpeedyBee ESC troubles? Thank you for £2. The new SpeedyBee V2 ESC and the Rush. Which speed? Help me out, chat. Help me out, chat. Which SpeedyBee ESC has this problem, please? Is it the... Which exact one is it? Is it the SpeedyBee Stack V2? Is this the one? Because I have a SpeedyBee stack on my website, and I'm concerned that it might be the same damn one. And I kind of don't want to... I don't want to do that. No. Okay, not there. Is it? Where is it? Is it on my website? Yeah. Oh, damn it. This is the one, isn't it? Is this the one? Is this the one that's frying? Can anyone tell me? I'm going to wait for the chat to catch up. Because this needs to come off my website if that's the one that's frying. Okay. All right. We're going to do that right now. That's unacceptable. Okay, done. If you ordered it, a hot ham sandwich, I absolutely would return it if they will let you return it. I would not use that ESC today. They're frying, and no one can fix it. RC Ritter says it's frying on 32.8. SpeedyBee says it's a problem with BL Heli, but the bottom line is that SpeedyBee, and then some have said that Rush Racing ESC is also affected, but it's not everybody running 32.8 is affected. So I don't know what's happening, but I know people who have 3 burned ESCs in a row, and SpeedyBee keeps sending them new ones, and I'm like, well, I just would stop using it. So yeah, the SpeedyBee ESC V2 right now has a problem. SpeedyBee hasn't been able to fix it, and they're blaming BL Heli, but the bottom line is I wouldn't run that ESC. Crunk says he thinks it's fixed in 32.8.3. Crunk, you say that, but I have 2 people, at least, in my email inbox who said, one guy specifically stands out to me. He said, they told me it was fixed in 32.8.3, all is well. And then he came back the next day and was like, nope, it burned. So they're saying it's fixed in 32.8.3. Maybe it's fixed for some people, but not everybody. I'm not convinced it's fixed. Carbon Cage wants me to elaborate on the Rush ESC issue. Carbon Cage, I'm not sure what the actual issue is. Sometimes it seems to relate to using motor beeper with bidirectional D-shot. Other people say that it's all that we know is that they're burning. The ESCs are burning under normal use conditions. I don't know a reliable characterization of the problem. Martin Wynn wants a build kit for my frame. Well, Martin, I have a perfect... I have a build video. It's not a build kit. You just buy the parts separately. These are the parts I love the best, and I have a build tutorial showing you how to build them. That is what I suggest you do. If you absolutely must buy a single SKU kit, Get FPV has a build kit with my frame. However, it is in stock, so that's nice. These are not they're not bad parts, but they're not the parts that I personally would choose, except for the frame. So if you want a build kit, here you go. Hang on. Let me make this into an affiliate link so I get a cut if you buy it. Here's the link. Feel free. If you want to build my frame with a all-in-one swipe. If you want the actual parts that I like the best, go to my perfect freestyle build. Okay. What's on your FPV wish list for 2022? Asks One Eye FPV. What am I wishing for in 2022? I don't know. I mean, I was wishing for Kiss Ultras and then I got them. The nice thing about this job is that almost everything I wish for, I get. What's on my wish list for 2022? I wish for Shark Bite or HD0 to really hit its stride. And canvas mode for DJI FPV. Yeah, great answer, Riet9. That's a good one. Canvas mode for DJI. Get on it, DJI! Give me canvas mode. Shrey Gupta, thank you for 100 rupees. Is there a way to have a DJI Air unit broadcast video to multiple goggles? Yes. With audience mode. But audience mode doesn't have retransmissions, and as a result, you get much, much shorter range. Okay. So no is the actual answer. Dennis Gerber wishes for prices to go back down. Prices to go back down on parts. Yeah, that's a good one. Gen X FPV. Interesting choice of words, Gen X FPV. Gen X FPV. I'm going to show your comment. I assume that you're just joking. But Gen X FPV says OSDs are for women. So great way to yeah. Great way to, I don't know. Like I was going to say great way to get women in the hobby, but like misogyny is about so much more than how many women there are in our hobby. It's about what it means to be a man and to be a woman. Hang on, I'm going to find this great quote. You've inspired me. I have to scroll through the TikToks that I sent my wife to find this quote. No, I'm not going to show you all the TikToks I sent my wife. Why would I do that? Where is it? There it is. Okay, check this out. The first act of violence that patriarchy demands of males is not violence toward women. Instead, patriarchy demands of all males that they engage in acts of psychic self-mutilation, that they kill off the emotional parts of themselves. If an individual is not successful in emotionally crippling himself, he can count on patriarchal men to enact rituals of power that will assault his self-esteem. That's by Bell Hooks. Then the title is The Will to Change. I think it's a book. Now, sit on that and think about that for a minute. And those rituals of power include putting down women and anything seen as feminine and using women and femininity as bad things. And then men internalize the idea that to be feminine is bad, which leads to these psychic acts of self-mutilation where we cut off emotions that we associate with femininity and result in emotionally stunted men. But in addition, It means that we learn to hate women on some level because we associate the traits that women have with bad parts of ourselves. That if we hate those traits when we have them in ourselves, why would we love them when they are in our assuming heterosexuality, in our partners? So there's a lot of shit going on there when you say OSDs are for women that I completely disagree with. I just like to say, I assume it was just a joke, but I don't think it's a harmless joke. And I would take 5 minutes out of my live stream to talk about that issue. Go back and replay that. Men, if you're a male, go back, rewind the DVR. Think about that quote for a minute, because I was just flipping through TikTok and I came across that quote and it just hit me right in the gut. I was like, oh shit, that is dead fucking on. That is dead on. Anyway. Moving on. Thank you for 200 Swedish kroner from Feel Free FPV for my point on misogyny. And by the way, I do keep politics out of my live stream, but I will absolutely throw a little social justice in there when I feel like it, because it's my stream and I can do whatever I want. Alrighty. Moving on. Thomas Shoes World says, JB, this FPV gig is killing your hairline. It's not FPV that's killing my hairline. It's aging. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been making videos for 5-6 years. I'm 46 years old right now. The time between like 40 and 46, that's when your hairline starts to go. So that's all that's going on here. It's all good. I'm the alternative to aging is dying, and I'll take it. Aging, that is. What are my thoughts on the newbie drone Cinema frame? Asks Cloud Duck FPV. It's cool as shit. Blunty and I talked about it in the new product roundup. The only thing, it's cool as shit that there is a low profile cinema frame that is made from carbon and not plastic. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to trying it out. I may actually build it out. The only thing that does stand out about it that I might want to change is that it's not a pusher configuration. And I think pusher configurations probably fly a little better, but I bet it doesn't look like there is too much in the way of the thrust column, and it probably flies pretty good. Siati says it's super cool, but you can't fly it around Talent. Siati, tell me why. We got to talk about this, Siati. I always want Siati's input on any micro, but especially Cinewhoop, since he is a pro Cine dude. Why can't you fly it around Talent? One thing about it that I think is going to drive me crazy if I build it is these captive nuts here. Captive, you can't see them all, but I've run into captive nuts like this in Catalyst Machine Works frames. They're a pain in the ass. They're a pain in the ass. I don't see why you couldn't fly this around Talon. It does look like the props are reasonably well protected. Siati, I think it's well established that pusher rigs are better if they have the obstructions in the low pressure zone. Yeah, no, that's just physics. But on this one specifically, it doesn't look like there's a lot in the way of the thrust column. You think it's going to cut somebody? It seems like it's fairly well... I mean, Siati, here's the thing, Siati. We should probably just talk about this offline, but what the hell? You're a big boy. You really liked the Cinelog 3.5. And it doesn't look like the Cinelog 3.5 is much better protected than the Cinema. You can You can print ducts, people are telling me. Fair enough. I mean, that changes the nature. Why are you okay with the Cinelog 3.5, Siati? And if so, why are you okay with the Cinelog but not the Cinema flying around Talon? That would be my question. He wouldn't fly the Cinelog around Talon either. Fair enough. He would want like actual ducts. Fair enough. Venrad. Squirrely, thank you for a $2 super chat. Looking good for 46, JB. Thank you, sir. Squirrely, thanks for a $5 super chat. I'm considering a Nazgul 5 HD for freestyle. Would you stick to the DJI controller or a TX16? Personally, I would take the TX16S, but many people would be happy with the DJI controller because it's very simple to set up, has great range, and doesn't require a separate receiver. I like the TX16S because it's more programmable, but not everybody's going to want that. Thank you, Callie FPV, for a $5 super chat. Just thanks for your work. Finally, we got a question from Venrad, who's building a 24-volt power supply. Watching your video, you isolated all the standoffs, but from the comments section, some people said the back standoff should not be isolated. Yes, Venrad, I would go with those comments. Isolate the front two standoffs, but not the rear standoff. The reason is the front standoff, but not the rear. Yeah. The reason is that the rear standoffs are part of, this is from, the chat has told me this, and I believe them. Many people have said this in the chat, and I just have to take their word for it. The rear standoffs are actually part of the AC side of the circuit and are needed and will not affect your ability to put them in series. So you should not do these back standoffs, but you should do the front standoff, which has continuity to DC ground. For what it's worth, I have been running mine that way for years, and it hasn't had an effect that I can tell, but I probably would do what the chat said and not isolate the rear standoffs. Okay, I am wrapping up the live stream now because I got to head over to Ghost Branch's live stream and watch him do 3D modeling with Blender. I'm going to hang out there for a little bit. Aaron Ciatti is also streaming if you want to go check his stream out. As always, that's going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for our Monday night stream. In the meantime, happy flying, everybody.